Tonight, we take pleasure in bringing you Suspense, a weekly anthology of notable melodramas from stage and screen, fiction and radio, presented each week to bring you to the edge of your chair, to keep you in suspense.
I'd been out of work for several months, and my savings were perilously near the vanishing point. Therefore, I was naturally elated when I received from John Carnby a favorable answer inviting me to present my qualifications in person. Carnby had advertised for a secretary and had specified his requirements fully and succinctly. His requirements were of such nature as to bar even the average well-educated person with knowledge of Arabic foremost among his needs. Luckily, I had acquired a certain degree of scholarship in that unusual tongue, and so it came to pass that I found myself at Carnby's home, atop a hill in the suburbs of Oakland. It was a large two-story house, overshaded by ancient oaks and dark with a mantling of unchecked ivy, among hedges of unpruned privet and shrubbery that had gone wild for many years. It was separated from its neighbors by a vacant, weed-grown lot on one side, and a tangle of vines and trees on the other.
Yes?
Mr. Carnby, I'm Stephen Ogden. We spoke earlier about the secretarial position.
Of course. Please, come in, Mr. Ogden. You may put your bags down here in the entryway.
Thank you, sir.
Your resume is quite impressive, as is your fluency in literary Arabic. How are you in the classical form?
My initial studies were in classical Arabic, Mr. Carnby, so I'm actually more comfortable with it than with the modern form.
You are well acquainted with the works of al-Baladuri?
With his Kitab Ansab al-Ashraf, of course.
And you have read the Muqaddimah, yes?
Ibn Khaldun is a particular favorite of mine, as is Ibn Battuta. In fact, I have works by both of them in my bags downstairs.
I think you will do, Mr. Ogden. Your labors will not be very heavy, but I want someone who can be on hand at any time required. Therefore, you must live with me. I can give you a comfortable room, and I guarantee that my cooking will not poison you. I often work at night, and I hope you will not find the irregular hours too disagreeable.
That will be fine, Mr. Carnby. When shall I start?
You will start immediately. This very afternoon, if possible.
How about right now? I have my reference materials with me, should they be needed.
That would be most acceptable. I shall be very glad to have you here, Mr. Ogden. I have been living entirely alone for some time, and I must confess that the solitude is beginning to pall upon me. Also, I have been retarded in my labors for lack of the proper help. My brother, Hellman, used to live with me and assist in my researches, but he has gone away on a long trip. This is my study.
Good Lord. My apologies, sir.
I imagine my study isn't quite what you were expecting.
That would be quite an understatement, Mr. Carnby.
I have made a life study of demonism and sorcery. It is a fascinating field, and one that is singularly neglected.
Well, your study would be the envy of any medieval sorcerer. Archaic instruments, astrological charts, skeletons of various animals, artwork of a distinctly supernatural aspect, even magical symbols drawn on the floorboards. And this collection of books, it's immense. All manner of volumes on demonology, witch cults, and the black arts.
I am now preparing a monograph in which I am trying to correlate the magical practices and demon worship of every known age and people. Your labors, at least for a while, will consist in typing and arranging the voluminous preliminary notes which I have made, and in helping me to track down other references and correspondences. Your knowledge of Arabic will be invaluable to me, for I am none too proficient in the language myself, and I am depending for certain essential data on a copy of the Al-Hazif, that ancient Arabic text that was to later become most infamously known as the Necronomicon.
The Necronomicon? I'm not especially well versed in magical lore, but even I have heard of it. The Necronomicon is supposed to contain the ultimate secrets of evil and forbidden knowledge, isn't it?
It is. The spells, incantations, and descriptions contained within were potent enough that the author, the mad Arab Abd al-Hazred, was reportedly devoured horribly in broad daylight by some invisible monster.
And you have the original Arabic translation? It's thought to be no longer in existence.
I'll show you the volume after dinner. You will doubtless be able to elucidate one or two passages that have long puzzled me.
Puzzled? In what way, sir?
I have reason to think that there are certain omissions and erroneous renderings in the Latin version of Olas Vermius, which I have been using in certain researches. However, that will wait until later. In the meantime, I have some notes that I wish to have typed.
The evening meal, prepared and served by my employer himself, was a welcome change from the cheap restaurant fare to which I was accustomed. Carnby seemed to have lost a good deal of his nervousness. In fact, he was very talkative, and even began to exhibit a certain scholarly gaiety after we had shared a bottle of mellow Sauterne. Still, with no manifest reason, I was troubled by intimations and forebodings which I could neither analyze nor trace to their rightful source. Those feelings were only exacerbated when we returned to the study.
Please sit down while I fetch the Necronomicon.
Ebony covers, arabesque with silver and set in garnets. Must be enormously old.
Indeed. But the stench that permeates these ancient pages is not due simply to age. It is the odor of physical decay.
As if it had lain among corpses in some forgotten graveyard for centuries and had taken on the taint of disillusion.
That may be a more accurate description than you realize. Here, tell me what you make of this.
All right. It is verily known by few, but is nevertheless no less a testable fact that the will of a dead sorcerer hath power over his own body, and can raise it up from the tomb to perform therewith whatever action was unfulfilled in life. Such resurrections are invariably for the doing of malevolent deeds and for the detriment of others. Most readily can the corpse be animated if all its members have remained intact. Yet there are cases in which the excelling will of the wizard hath reared up from death the sundered pieces of a body hewn in many fragments, and hath caused them to serve his end, either separately or in a temporary reunion. But in every instance, after the action hath been completed, the body doth lapse into its former state. What was that?
The house is full of rats. I have never been able to get rid of them, despite all my efforts.
Mr. Carnby, are you all right? You seem quite disturbed.
I am very nervous. I have worked too hard lately, and this is the result. Even a little noise upsets me.
Well, they seem to be retreating.
For the moment. About the translation. That is a most remarkable passage. I was doubtful about its meaning, given my imperfect Arabic, and I have found that the passage is wholly omitted in the Latin version by Olaus Vermius. Thank you for your scholarly rendering. You have certainly cleared it up for me.
Of course, Mr. Carnby.
And now, I should like you to translate another passage. However, no need to read this one aloud. Just write it down, if you please.
Well, it appears to be some sort of incantatory formula for the exorcism of the dead. It involves the use of rare Arabian spices and the proper intoning of the names of certain ghouls and demons.
It is. And this, too, is not in the Vermius edition.
Well, that should be it, then.
Very good. Now, if you will examine this page.
That evening was one of the strangest I have ever spent. As we sat for hour upon hour discussing renditions from that unhallowed volume, I came to know more and more definitely that my employer was mortally afraid of something, and that he dreaded being alone, and was keeping me with him on this account. Always he seemed to be listening with a painful, tortured expectation.
I fear that I have kept you up too long. You must go and get some sleep. I'm selfish, and I forget that such hours are not habitual to others, as they are to me.
Oh, it's not that late, Mr. Carnby.
Nonsense. You were barely able to keep your eyes open. Please, take your leave. Good night.
Good night, sir. So dark in this hallway. I'd better watch my step. What was that? What the devil? Something's there. I can't tell what it is, but I know this much. It's much too pale to be a rat. And its form is not at all suggestive of any animal. That night, I slept a deep and dreamless sleep, and did not awaken until 10 o'clock the next morning. Wondering whether my employer had left me undisturbed through thoughtfulness, or had not yet arisen himself, I dressed and went downstairs to find him waiting at the breakfast table. He was paler and more tremulous than ever, as if he had slept little and badly.
Good morning, Mr. Ogden.
Good morning, sir.
Did you sleep well?
I did, thank you. My apologies for being so late to rise. I don't normally sleep past 7 a.m. I hope I haven't detained you.
Think nothing of it. I've only just arisen myself, not more than 20 minutes ago. I do hope the rats didn't annoy you too much. Something really must be done about them.
I didn't notice them at all.
Can I offer you some breakfast?
No, thank you. This coffee will be fine for now.
So, you didn't see or hear anything unusual?
No? Nothing?
Are you quite certain?
Quite.
Excellent. If you will excuse me, I have a private matter to attend to. I shall be indisposed until late in the afternoon, and am not to be disturbed under any circumstances. Is that understood?
Yes, of course, Mr. Carnby.
I shall have need of you later this afternoon and all evening. In the meantime, you are free to do whatever you wish, provided that you do not leave the house. I highly recommend the library downstairs. You shall find it quite impressive for a private collection.
That sounds like an excellent idea, sir. Thank you.
Until later.
Until later. Just what Carnby was doing alone in that room for much of the day, I could not be certain. But more than once, I thought I heard that awesome formula that I had translated for Carnby being read in his sepulchral tones. Despite my best efforts to occupy myself in this well-appointed, albeit quite conventional library, horror-breeding hints and noisome intuitions invaded my brain. More and more, the atmosphere of the house enveloped me, stifled me with poisonous, miasmal mystery. So it was almost a relief when my employer summoned me to his study. Been doing a bit of redecorating, Mr. Carnby.
Why do you say that?
That Isfahan rug, it had been near the wall, but now it's at the center of the room, covering the floorboards upon which your magical symbols are drawn. And that smell, it's quite aromatic. Arabian gums and spices, aren't they? Such as the ones described in the passage I translated for you.
I have some detailed notes I wish you to type for me, Mr. Ogden, related mainly to formula for the acquisition of unlawful power.
Unlawful power, sir?
Around 7 o'clock we shall have supper, and then return to work. It may be a very late evening. Are you feeling sufficiently rested?
Oh, yes, sir. A late evening will be no trouble at all.
Good. Then let's get to work, shall we?
Evening came, and after our meal we returned again to the study. There was a tenseness in Carnby's manner now, as if he was eagerly awaiting the result of some unknown test. I went on with my work, but some of his emotion communicated itself to me, and ever and anon I caught myself in an attitude of strained listening. Do you hear that? Mr. Carnby, did you hear that? From the expression on your face, you hear it all right.
I hear it.
Then tell me, what is all this racket? It's getting louder by the moment.
The rats, I tell you, it is only the rats.
Rats? Are you mad? That cacophony of sound is more than even the biggest of rats could make.
Don't open that.
Good God!
You saw?
It was a human hand severed at the wrist. A bony, bluish hand like that of a week-old corpse, with garden mold on the fingers and under the nails. But the damnable thing was moving. And it wasn't alone. There were other body parts, a foot, a part of a leg, and a forearm, moving away slowly, flopping and wriggling hideously in a charnel procession. In heaven's name, what does it mean?
He is stronger than I am. Even in death, even with his body dismembered by the surgeon's knife and saw that I used, I thought he could not return after that. After I had buried the portions in a dozen different places, in the cellar, beneath the shrubs, at the foot of the ivy vines. But the Necronomicon is right, and my brother Helba knew it. He warned me before I killed him. He told me he could return, even in that condition. But I did not believe him. I hated Hellman, and he hated me too. He had attained a higher degree of power and knowledge, was more favored by the Dark Ones than I. That is why I killed him. My own twin brother. My brother in the service of Satan, and of those who were before Satan. We had studied together for many years. We had celebrated the Black Mass together, and we were attended by the same familiars. But Helman Carnby had gone deeper into the occult, into the forbidden, where I could not follow him. I feared him, and I could not endure his supremacy. It has been 10 days since I did the deed, but Helman, or some part of him, has returned every night. Dear God! His accursed hands crawling on the floor, his feet, his arms, the segments of his legs climbing the stairs in some unmentionable way to haunt me. His awful bloody torso, laying in wait. I tell you, his hands have come even by day to tap and fumble at my door, and I have stumbled over his arms in the dark. Merciful heavens, I shall go mad with the awfulness of it. But he wants me to go mad. He wants to torture me till my brain gives way. That is why he haunts me in this piecemeal fashion. He could end it all at any time. The demoniacal power that is his. He could reknit his sundered limbs and body and slay me as I slew him. How carefully I buried the parts, with what infinite forethought, and how useless it was. I buried the saw and knife, too, at the farther end of the garden, as far away as possible from his evil, twitching hands. But I did not bury the head with the other pieces. I kept it in that locked cupboard at the end of the room. But he does not need the head. His will is elsewhere, and can work intelligently through all his members. Of course, I locked all the doors and windows at night when I found that he was coming back. But it made no difference, and I have tried to exorcise him with the appropriate incantations, with all those that I knew. Today, I tried that sovereign formula from the Necronomicon, which you translated for me. It was why I hired you. I got you here to translate it. That, and I could no longer bear to be alone here. And I thought it might help if there was someone else in the house. That formula was my last hope. I thought it would hold him. It is a most ancient and most dreadful incantation. But, as you have seen, it is useless. Are you leaving? Don't go!
Yes, I'm going. I'm resigning my position right now, and I intend to pack my belongings and leave this house with as little delay as possible.
Please, wait! I'll double your salary. Triple! Name your price!
Mr. Carnby, there is no amount of money that could convince me to spend another moment in this house. I should prefer to face whatever might lurk in that hallway, no matter how loathsome or terrifying, rather than endure any longer the society of one capable of so monstrous an act.
No!
The hall was empty, but as I hastened to my room, I shuddered with repulsion at the memory of what I had just seen. I think I should have screamed aloud at the least sound or movement in the shadows. I began to pack my valise with a feeling of the most frantic urgency and compulsion. It seemed to me that I could not escape soon enough from that house of abominable secrets, over which hung an atmosphere of smothering menace. Those footsteps. Carnby locked himself in his study. And anyway, those aren't his footfalls. Dear God, no. It couldn't be.
No! Stay back!
I should do something. I must. But I cannot. I feel powerless to move. Heaven help me! was that sound? Dare I look? I must know! The study door, shattered. Upon discovering the source of that unnerving sound, I fell into a dead faint, and understandably so, given what I had seen. For as I had peered into the room, I saw the gruesome outline of a monstrous, awkwardly moving shadow on the Isfahan rug. Horrified, I nonetheless crossed over the sill and entered the room. And that's when I saw the source of the shadow. Huge, elongated, misshapen, the shadow was cast by the arms and torso of a naked man who stooped forward with a surgeon's saw in his hand. There was an overall air of rot, decay about him, and yet this was not the true monstrosity. Its monstrosity lay in this. Though the shoulders, chest, abdomen, and arms were all clearly distinguishable, the shadow was headless and appeared to terminate in an abruptly severed neck. It was impossible, considering the relative position, for the head to have been concealed from sight through any manner of foreshortening. It simply was not there. As I regained consciousness, I imagined that nothing could be more dreadful. That imagining, however, proved to be horrifyingly wrong. Upon the floorboards lay a double heap of human segments, mingled in abhorrent confusion. Some of them fresh and bloody, others already blue with beginning putrefaction and marked with dirt and mold. A reddened knife and saw were protruding from the pile, and a little to one side, between the rug and the previously locked cupboard, its door now shattered, there reposed a human head that was fronting the other remnants in an upright posture. It was in the same condition of incipient decay as the body to which it had belonged, but I swear that I saw the fading of a malignant exultation from its features as I entered. Even with the marks of corruption upon them, the lineaments bore a manifest likeness of John Carnby, for they could belong only to a twin brother.
So ends The Return of the Sorcerer by John C. Alzadek and Dana Perry Hayes. Tonight's story of Suspense. Suspense is produced by Blue Hours Productions. Tonight's radio drama was adapted by John C. Alzadek and Dana Perry Hayes from the short story by Clark Ashton Smith. Tucker Smallwood was John Carnby, and Ron Bottitta was Stephen Ogden. I'm Damon Krall. Next week at this time, tune in again for another study in Suspense.